Hello everyone, and we're going to talk today about the practice of meditation. We need strength, and meditation gives us that strength. All of our experiences encourage us greatly, but none more so than the experience of meditation. This is because achieving meditation gives us an experience of the truth. It is attained outside the intellectual centre. It is an advanced practice, but we can start now. We can start looking at what the practice is, and today we'll look at why we need it, and I'll give you one particular way to start trying to achieve this practice. First of all, though, let's just look at the definition of meditation. Many people say that they meditate, and really it's quite hard to say what anybody could really be doing. For some, it's paying attention to breathing. For others, meditation is to relax the body and the mind. For others, they observe the thoughts and then let them go. These are all good practices in their own right. But our school has a precise, more specific definition of what meditation is and what is exactly happening in our psychology to the essence. So what is actually happening? Meditation is a mystical practice. It gives us an experience of the truth. It's when total silence and stillness of the mind arrives. There are no thoughts and no background thoughts. What happens is that the essence, which we see here on the physical world, which is part of the world of thoughts, opinions, concepts and theories, elaborate reasoning, etc., is able to escape from this physical part, and it escapes and rises up through to the causal dimension. The causal dimension is the sixth dimension. It is the world beyond the ego. Sometimes it's called the illuminating void, or samadhi, or nirvana. When the essence gets to the causal dimension, it's greeted by its own being, by our own being. This is a superior, sublime practice, and when someone who has this experience, they never forget it. The joy of that experience remains with you for your whole life. And the essence eagerly urges itself on to repeat the experience, and it looks for it again and again. After achieving meditation, one experiences the urgent necessity of working on the self-realization of the being here and now. It gives us the impetus and the strength to go forward. It is illumination, the truth, vast, universal and infinite. In this dimension, the essence experiences the truth. What is the causal like? Here is a description from Samael Aun Weor. The causal world is grandiose, marvellous. In the causal world resound all the harmonies of the universe. In this region, one really feels the melodies of the infinite. It happens that each planet has multiple sounds, and all of them, added together, synthesize into a note. This is the keynote of the planet. The conjunction of the keynotes of each world sound marvellously in the immense chorus of the starry space, and this produces an ineffable joy in the consciousness of all those beings that enjoy the happiness of the causal world. The experience of the truth through meditation becomes prodigious. If one has experienced the truth, one is filled with strength to persevere in the work on oneself. The experience of meditation provides us with a direction. It's like having a compass within us. We know then where it is we're aiming for. We know where it is we want to go. With that experience, the essence has come to life. It's experienced an awakening of sorts. And with that awakening, it's desperate to have more of that awakening and to work harder upon itself. Brilliant authors have spoken about the work on oneself, about the I, about the self. And it is obvious that they have done well when speaking like that. But they have forgotten something, which is the experience of truth. As long as one has not experienced reality, one does not feel comforted. One does not feel strong enough to work on oneself, on the I itself. When one has really passed through such a mystical experience, one is different. Then nothing can stop one's longing for liberation. One will work tirelessly on oneself, in order to get, indeed, a radical, total, and definitive change. And why is the practice of meditation necessary? Well, as we've said, it gives us vital strength and motivation, clarity and knowledge, information which stays with us. Of course, we don't just go here to have a nice experience. Reaching to the causal dimension allows us to investigate, and the essence, being conscious, knows what to do. It learns to evolve and to investigate for itself. We set it free, and it knows what to do. Information that is vital for our inner work, our development, is given to the essence in this causal dimension. It seeks it out for itself, and it sees the truth of many things. Also then, we can help others in the work due to our better knowledge. So now we can see the impact that meditation will have in our work. But where does it sit among the other practices? It is an advanced practice. But as I said at the beginning, it is one that we can start working on straight away. This is because we need two types of practice. The first type of practice is the revolutionary practice, and we've been focusing a lot on that in these talks so far. The second type of practice is the mystical type of practice. And what we need is a combination of these two types of practice. Let's just clarify first of all what a revolutionary practice is. A revolutionary practice is related to working on our psychology. It's related to self-observation. It's related to moving up the level of being, up the vertical path, and not identifying with things of everyday life. It's related to the work on our inner states and the external events. When we use the external world as a psychological gymnasium and we discover ourselves and eliminate defects in coexistence with everyone else, then we are doing a revolutionary practice to revolutionize the conscience. It is the path of action, the conscious action. In the revolutionary work, it's where we remove the negative aspects of our psychology, the egos. And I've put this picture here of a knight. The revolutionary aspect of this knight, maybe he's one of the Knights Templars or King Arthur's knights, but he has the sword in his hand. This is the sword in which we fight against our own psychology, our own defects, as is described in this slide here. What kind of defects am I talking about? Things like impatience, laziness, frustration, annoyance, anger, etc. If the revolutionary practices are the path of action, the mystical practices are along the path of vision. Here is where we look to see where our work is taking us, and this is where our being and our essence are connected. And if we look at our picture again of our knight, the mystical aspect of this work is emphasized by the fact that he's kneeling, bowing down, bowing his head. He's venerating something, perhaps it's his innermost being. With the mystical practices, we meet our inner being and the masters. The mystical and spiritual part of us is found in meditation. It's also found in when we petition. When we petition to our own innermost being, we are creating a bridge or a connection between the inferior part of ourselves and the superior part. Mystical practices give us nourishment, they feed the soul, and they give it encouragement and strength to carry on with the revolutionary practices. There is an interesting story about two schools in Tibet, one of them dedicated to the revolutionary practices only, and the other one dedicated to the mystical practices only. And in the revolutionary school, they're looking to see how they can get rid of their defects, and they're solely concerned about that. In the mystical school, they're looking to achieve meditation and just to gain those experiences without looking at the revolutionary side. Now, neither of these schools give the results that they should. It's only when these two practices are combined, one with the other, that we do the revolutionary practices and then the mystical practices come along. Consequently, we've already been doing those mystical practices every time we make a petition. But now we're going to introduce you to the practice of meditation, which is a completely mystical practice. It doesn't involve the mind at all. The natural state of the mind is receptive, silent and quiet like a deep, tranquil ocean. The thinking process has come along as an abnormal accident, and this original cause is the ego. Now I'm just going to bring up my pointer here. Imagine that this is the mind, this flat surface here is the mind, but that any time that we have a thought that comes along, it causes all manner of ripples, and the ripples just extend out. This is how a thought infects the mind and causes it to be more turbulent. That's why when people practice meditation, they often visualize a very calm lake, because they're trying to mimic or trying to encourage the mind to be still and quiet. Meditation can only take place when the mind is absolutely still and quiet and receptive. Then the essence is able to free itself from the bounds of the mind, beyond thought, and go off into the causal dimension, as we said before. So how do we practice meditation? Well, as I've said, we need the revolutionary practices, and these revolutionary practices are typically done during the day. So if we're going around in our daily lives and we're learning to live from moment to moment, if we are constantly reacting in an automatic manner to things that we come across, whatever anybody says, for example, to us, we find that we're reacting to it in a negative manner, we simply won't be able to achieve meditation with that kind of behaviour. We have to train our minds to be quiet, and we have to train our minds not to react in that automatic way. In training our mind, we're actually activating the essence, and this helps it as well to awaken. So not thinking is the most elevated way of thinking. And not thinking requires an effort during the day. It requires those automatic reactions to be transformed. It requires us to logically confront why we have these useless reactions in many cases. Remember, we are looking for that mathematical point within us, which is found not 1 second in the future, nor 1 second in the past. And from there, we're looking to go up the vertical path to see what things that we react to that are not worth our energy, that are useless to us. We're trying to change the way we're behaving in our everyday lives. So to practice meditation means that we are active in this manner during the day. We're looking for a passive mind, feeling and personality, but a totally active consciousness. To achieve this passive state requires a tremendous activity of the essence. It requires us to be practicing the self-remembrance, the analysis. In this school, we have 3 main ways to practice meditation. The first one is the pure form of concentration. So we've been teaching you how to concentrate on an object. And when we get very good at that, we're able to concentrate on the object with our eyes open. And then if we close our eyes and we're able to concentrate on the object with our eyes closed, imagining it, and then we've got a very tight grip on our concentration. Our concentration is secure, it's solid. And then that one thought that we have of the flame, for example, we let that thought go. And then one thought becomes no thought. And it's all done through pure concentration. And then the essence can depart from the mind and escape to the causal dimension. Another practice is the duality. And this is related to what we call the struggle of opposites. But we'll talk more about this practice in a future time. What we will talk about today, however, are koans. Koans are very useful to practice meditation because they place riddles to the mind, which the mind cannot answer. This results in the mind getting very quiet and going silent, and then the essence is able to escape. One example of a koan is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Now you can try any of these koans. What's important is to be concentrated in them. And what is also important is not to accept any answer that the mind gives you. So here's the first one. And remember, they're koans and we don't have an answer to them. The mind doesn't have an answer to them. I should be more precise. They are koans. And the essence has the answer, but not the mind. Anything that the mind gives back to you as an answer is not the answer. So here we have, where was I before I was born? Where will I be after I'm dead? Place that to the mind again and again, repeatedly. Whatever the mind comes back with, it simply is not true. You don't accept it. Place the question again. I really like this koan. This koan you can place to the mind as if it's a question and as if it's a what is it kind of question. And you repeat in your mind, it is not the mind, it is not the Buddha, it is nothing. And you look for the answer. Self-remembrance can come about with this koan, and eventually, with enough experience and with enough practice, meditation comes about too. Another practice is the woo, and this is really where you repeat in your mind the sound of the wind, like this, whoo, whoo. So you make that sound in your mind and you keep following it. Another way of quietening the mind is to listen to the sound of the wind or the waves or a stream. Don't let the mind get involved. Just continuously listen to the noise that the sound of the wind or the waves or the stream make. Another koan is to clap your hands. If I clap my hand now, did you hear that sound? Well, what is the sound that one hand makes? Go to sleep trying to listen to it. Here's another koan. What is the truth? The essence can experience the truth, but the mind cannot know the truth. The truth lies beyond the thoughts and beyond the mind. The last koan I've got here on the page really involves a kind of a physical imagining. And you imagine yourself in the guise of this picture here. You're holding onto the rope by the teeth with the hands and feet bound and dangling from a branch over a cliff. And the question that you put to yourself is, how can we escape? How can I escape? There is an answer of how to escape, but it doesn't belong to the mind. So if you want to practice any of these koans, simply lie down or sit comfortably. You can lie in a 5-pointed star if you want, but everyone is different, so find what works best for you. Relax the body, and then use concentration and allow sleep to come naturally, but with the essence is awake. Concentration is key. As you're using the concentration, you can apply yourself either to the one thought, to the duality, or the koans. In this case, we've been talking about the koans. So you apply your mind to the koan. And remember, don't accept any answer that the mind gives you. Do this practice in your own homes. Don't just go to sleep. Try something. And that brings us nicely then to the homework. Try relaxation and concentration on an object. Then try a koan. And remember how we said earlier on in the lecture to check your inner states during the day and your automatic reactions? Well, work on them. Get the essence active. Try and put into practice those exercises to remember yourself, using the will and the perception. Try and be present, living from moment to moment. Watch any automatic reactions that you have, and then try and go up the vertical path and overcome them. Dedicate yourself to each daily task that you do. So whatever task it is, be involved in it. Get down to it and feel yourself doing it. And that way the essence will be trained to be concentrated. So that's it for now. Any questions or queries on any of that, you can email us at info@htsk.ie.